Yo, the 5 stages of making games. Stage 1. You first hear about game development. So you're probably bored one day replaying the same old games that you still have on your Steam Deck until you found out about Danny for the first time. You get absolutely hooked onto the idea of making games. Since making a game on your own seemed impossible, you start watching devlog after devlog, learning about how others made their games. This plays into the first stage of change called uninformed optimism. This is basically naive positivity and unrealistic expectations are set, which came from seeing other people succeed in such a small period of time. Then it's not long till you go to stage 2, devlog obsession. Watching devlogs and game dev related content is now routine for you. You start watching both educational and entertainment content from people like Blackthorn Prod, Thomas, Jonas Tyroller, and many others. You start to learn about the ins and outs of building something from scratch in such a small period of time. Well, at least at a surface level. You hear about the great things that game development brings, and the devlog binge begins. Video after video, you keep seeing how fulfilled and how happy game developers look when making their own projects. And you start to ask yourself, what if I made a game on my own? It can't be that hard, right? So you put up a game engine of choice and get started following a tutorial. Shortly after, you manage to get a character moving across the screen and get a rush of dopamine, thinking that making games is easy. Well, as so it seems for now. Stage 3. You get your first reality check. After making some progress, you end up forgetting that you haven't actually finished the tutorial you're following. Well, in reality, you're only just getting started. Now you realize that you gotta implement smooth movement, AI enemies, fun combat system, collectibles, a save system, character movement, weather cycles, and etc. While wrapping your head around that one, you realize programming is the tip of the iceberg. There's many other different hats to wear in game development. So what most people do is go back to watching devlogs for entertainment. And this makes total sense actually. Creating something from scratch from start to finish is actually hard, and the cycle repeats between stage 2 and stage 3. This is where most people get stuck. It's a loop of uninformed optimism, which from the previous stage is where motivation just kicks in and unreal expectations are set. Uninformed pessimism kicks in when those really high expectations aren't met. This then leads to something known as the crisis of meaning, aka what other developers say, the valley of despair. This is a long stage, as you've made games here and there, but they didn't really actually lead up to anything, and things just always goes wrong. The cycle repeats. Some end up falling into the abyss, and they crash and burn, and just end up not touching game dev again. I mean, it's a pretty hopeless period of time, when problems just keep coming up like tutorial hell, lack of motivation, and sometimes stuff just doesn't wanna work. Stage 4. Something clicks within you, and you get your first glimmer of hope. Something indescribable happens within you. I don't know how to describe it, but something just happens. Something ends up clicking within you. The light at the end of the tunnel presents itself in 2 different ways. First, you simply feel pain. You realize how much pain you would feel if you knew genuinely that you could have made something that you were proud of, something that your younger self could have only dreamed of. Or there's a second way where you just get good. This is the 4th stage of change called informed optimism. When you see some results and reap the fruits of your labor, you finally manage to overcome procrastination, aka the devlog binge. You might even end up becoming exceptionally good at certain aspects of game development. And throughout this process, you obtain the mental bandwidth to actually work on your dream game. But it takes a long time to get here. Me personally, it took me multiple cycles, maybe like 7 or 8, or something of stage 2 and stage 3. This is something that you might be able to relate to, where you make a game and post videos, GIFs and devlogs, only for you to not finish the game and get distracted on YouTube. Stage 5. Achievement or fulfillment. How this stage plays out is going to depend from person to person. If you're the type of guy who wanted to make games as a dream job, your endpoint would be hitting the launch button on your first commercial indie title. Or if you're the guy who wanted just to make games as a hobby, you'd end up finding long-term intrinsic motivation for pursuing game dev, and you finally have something to show for it on your itch.io page. But whatever way this stage looks like for you, you've gained a decent amount of social proof. As you continue in this stage, other people see your progress and they'll start their stage 1. But even on stage 5 or in all stages of making games, it's not always linear. Small slip-ups here and there still happen, but now the difference is that you put in a consistent amount of work every day, adopting the no-zero mindset. This was a philosophy pioneered by Lost Relic Games. This is when no matter what, you'll always do something no matter how small it is. Stage 5 is like a hybrid of stage 4, because at first it wasn't sustainable, making games while having like scary deadlines on Trello and even pulling all-nighters on crunch time. Getting past the stage 2 and stage 3 cycle actually seems impossible, but it's not. Discord is linked in the description for foolproof advice given by more experienced game developers. Click here if you want to learn how you can make games the right way.